Hold on.
I see what Burk is doing.
Is that a lunchbox?
I'll show you one that's actually.
I'm so glad there's no food in there.
Okay.
Very nice.
There's one that's kind of put
That
together.
That
That was very Kramer.
Yeah,
I like that.
it was absolutely unrehearsed and totally real. But
Hi, everybody.
that's my lunchbox. But fortunately, there wasn't any food in it. But today we're going to talk about a movie called what was it again?
I think it was called A Box of Lunch.
No, it's called The Lunchbox. A great film from 2013 that we did a trailer review a little while back, and we all decided that we liked the trailer so much that we'd watch the film. Also, a lot of requests from our commenters out there, and don't forget to please comment, like, and subscribe. Subscribe being the key. And so we said, let's watch it. So we all watched it, and we're going to talk about our reactions to the actual film, not the trailer.
Yeah, it was the trailer sold me on it. I hadn't seen it, and it was like when we did our trailer review. It's every so often we'll do a trailer review episode, and I'm like, wow, I really want to see this movie, and that's like the mark of a good trailer.
The movie stars Irrfan Khan, and he's a guy who works at a claims department in this mundane job. He's been there 35 years. He's not that old, but I think he's just tired.
He's burned out.
Burned out. You know, he's a widower.
And
I know that feeling.
He's suffering from the loss in his life, and
right.
His wife died. He's a widower.
Right. So
he's just kind of getting through life. He's just going to work, going home.
And there's a guy who's going to come take his place who is this guy named Sheik, and he's sort of young, sort of very pleasant. You know,
that guy was so funny.
Yeah.
He's a great
and
character.
he just was, so he's going to take over, and he's annoyed by him, you know, and it's like, oh my God.
We were all annoyed by him. Like, I liked how the movie's this kind of quiet, gentle thing, and then, you know, he's going to work and he's very quiet and methodical, and this guy comes and goes, hey, you gonna train me? You gonna train me? How about today? How about tomorrow?
Hello, sir, can you train me now?
Man. But I like that there was that youthful energy that we had not been used to, so it felt like a huge interruption. So I felt like it was a cool way for us to kind of feel how he was, you know, our main character was feeling, because it was like, oh my God, just calm down.
But you could see both sides in this, because
Totally.
I've been that young, eager guy, and
That's what was so great about it.
I've gone into places where I feel like, don't you guys see me? Can you help me? Can somebody help me? Can you help me do this? I feel like I'm on my own here. So I could see both sides of that. At first I thought the older guy was being a jerk to him.
Yeah,
you know,
was.
it's like, just train him, you know, because
But it
he
was also
started a
like
new job.
And there's also like you're tired of your job and you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so here comes a guy who's fresh and excited about it, and you're like, oh my God, just leave me alone.
But it was a wonderful plot element in the
I
film
loved
to
it.
show you how he transforms.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what they have this system of delivery, like lunch delivery in Mumbai, that's world famous, and I think it's been there for 100-something years.
It was very cool. I was like, how do they keep track of this?
Yeah, and it's famous. They never make mistakes. And I think there was a little controversy about this film, because the film is the premise of the film is that the older retiring guy's lunch is mixed up with someone else's lunch, and that's the premise. I mean, there's a woman who cooks lunch every day for her husband, and it went to our sad accountant instead, and he's surprised, but what do you do about it? You can't send it back, so he just eats it, and it's really good, but maybe a little salty.
But he thought it was from the restaurant.
He thought it was from the
He
restaurant.
thought, wow, this is really good from this restaurant. They really hit it out of the park on this
Yeah,
one.
it tastes like home cooking.
Yeah.
So, but it was really made by this woman. Her character's name was Ela, and she was played by Nimrat Kaur. And
so
she
good.
is this, she's this mother and wife who, you know, is cooking these meals for her husband, who obviously is not very much interested in her. It's obviously that there's a problem with the marriage,
Right.
and she has this great interplay with her auntie who lives above.
I love that. Just the voice.
They have this great connection, and she like about cooking and the spices that doesn't smell right. So here, have it, add some salt or add some peppers or whatever it is. And so she brings this basket down with these. So it's just really that's just such a nice little detail, nice little element to the movie.
And auntie a lot of times is just a word for an older person. It's like
it could be a neighbor, just a neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in one scene, he's called towards the end of the film. He's called uncle in one of the trains, but obviously his uncle is just an older guy.
Just means the older guy, not quite grandpa, not quite
Right.
Exactly.
But there was one shot where you never see auntie. She's just a voice upstairs.
And she brings stuff in a basket.
That shot right there with the basket with the chilies in it. There was one scene that made my wife and I crack up where when auntie is talking, the camera goes to the shot of the peppers in the basket. And almost like the peppers are talking, like it was a cutaway to the peppers, and then it cuts back to the woman cooking, and then when auntie talks, it cuts back to the peppers in the basket.
And too, she wasn't really responding, so the basket starts. Come on,
right?
Jumping up
and the basket had a life.
The
basket starts moving. Like the basket it represents the physical manifestation of.
And I thought that's a really
unseen
good idea.
auntie. Yeah, it was very nicely done.
Yeah, it's a small. The idea is very simple. It's like so what happens is there's a back and forth between these people that don't know each other,
right?
But they start exchanging letters. She writes a letter and he responds, and they form this friendship, although they haven't met yet.
Yeah.
And, it goes much deeper than that. There's a friendship there, but obviously both people are hurting in their lives.
Right.
They're missing something. Both of them are, and they're
even a note in a lunchbox is a bright ray of sunshine for both of them, And it's funny where you get these moments of sunshine in your life if you're depressed or whatever. Little moments like that are so valuable, and it's unexpected. There's a quote that's repeated a couple times in the film that's like, sometimes the wrong train will take you to the right station.
That was a great quote.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, it's like, sometimes a mistake or something that's unexpected, some little like, oops, I missed the train, that could change your life.
Totally.
Right.
And I like too how the note he sent the note back because he thought it was the restaurant.
Right.
And then she got it, and she's like, Auntie, someone else got the lunch, and he sent me a note. She's like, oh, what did he say? It's like, said it's too salty. Like she was expecting this thing. So when she writes back, she gives him this very long, cool little insight into her life. And so then he's kind of like, oh, I should write. And it wasn't like flirty when it started. It was very like, here are some moments from my life. Here's what I'm going through. And I love the analog quality of these little handwritten notes going back and forth. And when the lunchbox comes, he's like, yay, food. But you can see him looking for the box with the note in it. And I thought that was such a sweet, it just gives me goosebumps how sweet and smart that was. Just such a touching movie.
I also think the lunchbox itself is such an interesting little thing because it's like getting a little like a surprise. Like I'm not sure if they order their lunches. I don't know how that works. Maybe you put an order in, but it's like this is the dosa. This is the look at this. This is cauliflower, and it's a surprise. So the note is also a surprise. Yeah. And I find that to be just such a sweet little thing to have. Like, we don't have that here. We order our lunches. We know what we're getting.
It's kind of like Uber Eats is kind of like the modern, our version of that, where that you can get it from, Uber will bring you food from different restaurants. And I think this system is set up to where these guys that work for this delivery system, they go to a bunch of different restaurants or people's houses and get these lunch boxes, and they take them, and they know who gets what, and by the color of the packet, the green, the little covering.
I loved seeing it too. Like, I was glad to see it. I also love how where she goes to confront the delivery service. The main guy, and says, you delivered this to the wrong address. He goes, nope, we had Harvard guys here. They said we're perfectly accurate. We had he kept saying it over again, but you didn't. No, we
the
had
King
Harvard
of England
here.
Came and observed our system
Harvard
100 years ago.
Like, they're checking out my lunch system.
Yeah.
You also get this. You get to see how it works. Like, you get full on the first 5 minutes is this delivery, like how they pack them on these long sort of like things that you carry. And you put them on the train, and all the guys go together on the train. And when they're done on the way back, they're singing and clapping hands because their day is done. So it's just like such a great slice of life of what these guys go through. You feel like this is really what it's like on the streets of Mumbai for a delivery person. So,
and it was the real guys. They used some of the real delivery guys in the film. I mean, you can tell. You can just tell that this is not an actor. These aren't actors.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that scene right there.
Yeah. Very cool.
And and of course the story goes on, and the relationship between the letters, intensifies. And what I found from the movie, without giving it away, is how Ila, who's in this unhappy marriage, knows that her mother is dealing with her father, who's basically lying in bed, and so is basically becoming a caretaker. And her mother at the end says, I got very disgusted with my husband because all I was doing was, giving him a bath or, feeding him or doing that kind of stuff, becoming a nurse. Mm-hmm. And also upstairs with auntie and uncle, she's doing the same thing with her husband, who's just staring at a ceiling fan and never gets out of bed, basically.
Right.
And so she's going, is this my fate as a young woman with this guy who is probably having an affair or doing whatever? Is this my fate? And so these letters are a little escape. And for him, he's all of a sudden he's realizing he's old. He's like, I'm old, I'm retiring. What am I doing? My marriage, I've lost my wife. She passed away. What am I doing with my life? So it's like two people that are really in despair have this connection.
And they
it's
show
almost like they're asleep, like in a way, like the he's kind of asleep in a way, going to work and just going home, going to work, going to home. She's asleep by just dealing with a husband who completely neglects her, never really talks to her, comes home, just looks the other way, and she's making all this food. Did you eat my lunch yesterday? Yeah, it was good, but don't do cauliflower anymore. Like, just wasn't really, like, it's almost like he wasn't even eating. And again, he wasn't eating the right lunch.
Right.
Top everything else.
He was eating the
they
lunch
didn't
from the
even
restaurant.
notice. He didn't notice.
Right.
And that's the sad part. So that was like her pride and joy, and he didn't really care. And it was really sad. And I like how they didn't really develop that character. Like, you didn't really, you didn't all of a sudden root for her to get back with him. You didn't really, because you felt neglected by him as much as she did. So you're inside her life being neglected by this husband's like a shadow in the background, basically. And then you're here at this workplace with this lonely guy.
The beauty of the filmmaking here, the storytelling, is so well done. The way to use a camera to tell a story is done so beautifully in this film. The fact that we get to spend time with her when she's in the kitchen, and we get to know her and her daughter, their daughter, and the way she relates to the daughter. You see her playing with the daughter, and you see her having a chat with her friend upstairs, and you see her cooking, and you see her thoughts. She expresses her thoughts about her cooking and her life, and you really realize she's such a sweet person. She's like this really nice person, and you feel like we know her better than her husband does. He's not paying any attention to her. So when he treats her like that, when he's really dismissive and there's a scene where she's, touching him, trying to be intimate, and he's sort of like, excuse me, and pushes past her, like, excuse me, you really feel like, is he not seeing this great person he's got standing right in front of him there? And so you do realize that there are people that's a feeling, you sometimes feel like, doesn't this person care about me? Am I just a thing in the house for this person? And there's this really beautifully done sequence of storytelling with film where she's sorting the laundry, and she's smelling things, I guess, to see if it's dirty enough to wash, and she's smelling, and she puts it in the wash, or she puts it over here, maybe you can wear that again, and she finally stops on one of his shirts, and she smells it again, and she doesn't have to say, this is perfume that I smell, it's like, you can tell what she's thinking.
Yeah, like, what is this foreign smell? I haven't really, it's not part of our household.
It smells like someone else. It may not even be perfume. It may just be her intuition saying, this is somebody else's house I'm smelling. And then and then later there's another scene where she's sorting the laundry, and you don't have to do anything. Because of the previous scene, what she's thinking while she's doing that.
Right.
And it's there's a lot of that sort of daily life repetition stuff in the film, and the way something like that can be tainted. You know what I mean? Like a daily act, like putting your laundry. Now it's got this sad resonance for her,
Right.
and the fact that her father's dying of cancer, and when she's writing notes back and forth with the accountant character, he says something about smoking. She tells him he should quit smoking.
Yeah.
And you've been seeing his daily ritual when he gets home from work every day. He goes on the patio outside his house or the deck or whatever, and he smokes a cigarette, and he just looks at this family that lives across the way, and they're all laughing and eating dinner, and he's just like, longingly like, wow, what a nice thing it must be to have a family. And there's one heartbreaking scene where the little girl just closes the window. And,
but then there's the scene where the little kid's waving at him.
and then later she waves at him.
Yeah,
there's a lot of very understated,
yes,
beautiful little moments, and that's I think that's what I liked about the movie is it never overplays, doesn't get schmaltzy. It felt very slice of life, and it was just so fascinating to see it, and you really cared about these people.
Yeah,
it was really beautifully done.
I like the relationship between Sajan Fernandez, his character, and his colleague, his trainee.
Yeah.
Because he's at first it's annoying, and you can understand why, but you can understand why.
He's like a puppy.
But then he's some of his background, which is kind of
his story was heartbreaking. When he finally turns around and tells him the deal, and then Mr. Fernandez is like, okay.
And he for lunch he's going and just bringing in 2 bananas or a banana and apple because that's all he can afford. Meanwhile, he's having his lunch. So then the relationship starts there, and then it turns that he's going to get married, and the plot goes from there, and it becomes an important character for him, and I think kind of opened him up a little bit.
Yes, it did. Like you could see him kind of blossom in a way, like between the letters and then this young guy coming in and kind of having this new energy. He sort of like wakes him up a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost like it's his son. Like he has a son to think about now, and a son can be annoying, And when the young man, later in the film asks him to do something that's very much like what one would ask of a father, it's very heartbreaking and touching. There's one beautiful scene at his wedding where they do the photograph with the families.
Yeah,
and it's funny because I got married in Thailand, and the marriage ceremonies are very similar. The way they set everything up and dress, and they have the families come in. And of course, I didn't have any friends or family there, so it's just it was my wife's family. It was a similar kind of thing. It was like, oh, okay, well, that's all I got, just me.
That has to be pretty common, though.
It's pretty common.
Yeah, I mean, but I think the writer, this is a first-time director and writer.
Yeah, he's so confident.
Edit.
Ritesh Batra. And
so beautiful,
very impressive, and he's gone on to direct other films. But this is like how to come out of the gate with a movie that gets lauded by everybody. New York Times loved it, and you can see why. It's like Burk said, the storytelling is like you're just watching stuff happen.
Yeah,
and slowly you start realizing what the characters feel, not by what they say, but how they smell laundry, or how they eat their food, or how they relate to coworkers. Simple daily stuff.
It's also really relatable stuff.
Yeah,
it is.
We all have the relationships and the friendships. We all have loss in our lives. We all, have our drudgery at our jobs that we're like, is this what I need to be doing? And it was just such a beautiful, just such a beautiful little film to just relate to and to enjoy. And it wasn't too heavy-handed, and it wasn't too draining or too tragic. It was like just this perfect balance. It's
a skill of certain filmmakers to know what to say and what to show, and which emotional expression is better said or better shown. And there's one scene where Ela is, sad tragedy has occurred near the end of the film, and she's talking to her mother, and her mother's response to this tragedy is unexpected. It's like kind of unexpected. I guess it's not a spoiler to say that her father passes away, and her mother's response to that is, "I'm hungry," and
I liked that.
Yeah, it was, but the daughter was looking at her. Ila's face in that scene is like a masterclass in understated facial expressions that are full of dialogue.
Right.
I mean, her whole life, her whole childhood, her relationship to her father, her relationship to her mother is expressed in the way she is looking at her mother while her mother says that. That was powerful.
It was.
Acting
And you can relate.
filmmaking.
It's so good because you can relate to the mother because she took care of the husband's needs, not her own, for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
So when he passed, it was like terrible and sad, but at the same time you could say like, I'm hungry and I want to do something for me and I want to eat and enjoy it. Like it was like, I'm gonna feel this thing that I haven't felt,
Or also, sometimes relief brings that on. Like, like all of a sudden there's relief and all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm going to care about myself.
Appetite.
I'm hungry. Right.
It was really, really well.
Smart the whole way. It's so great to see sort of the slice of life done in such a realistic way. The characters all have respect, other than the husband of Ila, who is, a dismissive jerk.
Again, just not overdone though. Just
not overdone.
He's not like
he's not yelling and screaming. He's just sort of like.
She'd ask him and he'd give her minimal answers. And he wasn't like abusive. He was just kind of like dismississive. Like, that looks.
Maybe
he's
going
Did you see I'm wearing the dress that I wore the day after our wedding? He's like, yeah, it looks good.
Then he says, did you buy a cauliflower in bulk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's to the next thing.
The thing is, if you focused a story on him, he might be having a horrible time at work. There might be some horrible thing. He might not be having an affair.
Right.
Yeah. They don't ever tell you that he is. I mean, the suggestion is, and you don't see him. He's not like, being physically abusive or even verbally abusive. He's just not there. He's not there for her.
But everybody else has this respect for each other, which I found just so nice. Like I don't see it's respect. Even when he's getting chewed out by his boss because at the end, one more thing. Why does this smell like vegetables?
Yeah.
So left on like a kind of this personal note. So
there are some really funny moments in the film. It has
a lot of gentle humor.
Yeah.
It has some stuff in it that just we were my wife and I were laughing at a couple of scenes. There's a scene where they're on the bus and where the young guy is doing something. I don't want to spoil this because I think this is one of those movies that not knowing how it ends is important.
Absolutely.
And not knowing where the character relationships go is important. Not knowing what where this is taking me. Where am I going with this story? I think it's a good movie to go into mostly blind.
And I liked his sort of cranky old man attitude toward the little kids, where they always losing the ball in his house. He'd be like, "I'm going to chase you down the street."
Yeah.
And they would all be like, "They're all so cute." And
thank you, Mr. Fernandez.
It was very cute. I know that was really fun.
Please, sir, can we have our ball back?
He's like, no.
It's a very sweet movie, very smart movie, and touching. And I just liked all the characters. And I said, these are people that I just genuinely liked. And I loved seeing Mumbai street level. Scenes. I love all of that. It's just like, boy, I'm just spending 2 hours in this city with these people I like. And
and it gets you right away. Like this isn't like a slow burn get into it. You're like captivated instantly. Like I was just like, I'm into this. Like
it goes by super fast too. I was like, my God, the movie's already over.
And I want more of these people. It's like it leaves you at the end of the film. You're like, I want this to be a TV series.
I know it was a little open ended, which I liked. There was no easy answer. I mean, that's what I liked about it. Didn't like have this like Hollywood ending or anything. It sort of just felt real. Just kind of this thing's kind of.
But you discuss it afterwards. After it's over, whoever you watched it with, you're going to have a conversation about this film, which is really, I love that about film is when it opens up your thoughts and you start talking about your own experience and like, that's kind of like when,
It was great. I really
I'd like to see some of his other films that came afterwards. So that's something for us to look into. But this was, really good. The Lunchbox. It's on Amazon Prime here in the U.S. So you can definitely watch it, and it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
All right then.
So big, watch it from us.
A+.
This is absolutely a perfect Cinemondo movie. If the word Cinemondo means movie world movies.
Yes.
Cinema.
Agreed.
Yeah. Highly recommended.
Yeah. And don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like to any of our YouTube videos. Tell us what you thought about the Lunchbox. We'd love to read and respond to you. So thanks very much, buddy.
We're just about to hit 10,000 subscribers. So if
Thanks, you guys.
if you subscribe and you are our 10,000th subscriber, you get absolutely nothing but the knowledge that you were the 10,000th subscriber.
I would love to know who is.
Yeah.
Shout it out if you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
See you guys later.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.